Raymond and Vanessa Caldwell seemed like the ultimate power couple, dripping in wealth, adored online, and envied by everyone who knew their names. But behind their picture, perfect lifestyle was a chilling secret. Their luxury wasn't earned, it was built on lies, money laundering, betrayal, and ultimately murder. Raymond and Vanessa Caldwell were everything people dreamed of becoming. They lived in a grand, white, columned mansion nestled in one of Charlotte's most exclusive gated communities. Their driveway was lined with luxury cars, Lamborghinis, Bentleys, and Mercedes-Benzes. Their social media pages painted a flawless picture: rooftop dinners in Dubai, private helicopter rides over the Amalfi Coast, and red carpet appearances at charity galas. To the world, they weren't just wealthy, they were inspirational. Raymond was known as a financial genius, someone who had built his empire from scratch. His LinkedIn page was filled with vague yet impressive-sounding titles: private wealth advisor, global markets strategist, entrepreneur. Vanessa, with her striking beauty and effortless charm, branded herself as a luxury lifestyle influencer. She promoted designer brands, shared motivation tips, and posted glamorous photos of their daily life. They were loved by thousands of followers, envied by neighbors, and respected in social circles. But beneath the surface, things weren't as they seemed. Raymond's financial firm had no office anyone could locate. Vanessa's brand deals often came from companies that didn't appear to exist beyond Instagram tags. Their lavish lifestyle was oddly inconsistent: weeks of extravagance followed by sudden disappearances from the public eye. Several neighbors whispered about loud arguments late at night and unusual deliveries in the early morning hours. Some had even seen strangers entering and leaving the Caldwell property at odd times, though no one ever stayed long. Still, the couple remained untouchable. Their wealth gave them power, and their charm made people hesitate to question them. But behind the filtered photos and diamond-studded appearances was a secret more dangerous than anyone could have imagined. They had created an illusion of success so convincing, even they began to believe it, and in that illusion the seeds of destruction were quietly growing. It was just after 7:00 a.m. on a Tuesday when a housekeeper called 911 from the Caldwell estate. Her voice trembled as she told the dispatcher there was a man lying motionless in the guest house. By the time first responders arrived, the morning sun had just begun to warm the marble driveway. The scene they walked into was nothing short of chilling. The guest house, separate from the main mansion and often used for visiting friends or business associates, was in disarray. The body of a man in his mid-30s lay on the floor near the bed. He was dressed in a designer suit, but his shoes were missing and his head was badly bruised. The forensic team noted signs of a struggle: a broken lamp, smeared blood on the edge of the table, and a shattered phone nearby. There was no identification on the man, and no one on the property claimed to know him. Raymond and Vanessa appeared shaken. Vanessa stood barefoot in a silk robe, arms crossed tightly around her, as cameras captured her crying on the front steps. Raymond spoke briefly to the press, saying they were devastated and had no idea who this person was. He claimed their property was secure and questioned how anyone could have gotten past the gate. But investigators were immediately skeptical. Inside the guest house, they found a briefcase filled with stacks of $100 bills, totaling nearly $200,000. Tucked behind the dresser were 3 unregistered burner phones, each with encrypted messaging apps. The most disturbing find was a hidden camera embedded in a wall vent, aimed directly at the bed. It had been recording. The mystery man hadn't simply wandered onto the property. He was connected to the Caldwells somehow, and whatever business he had with them had ended in death. As the investigation deepened, cracks in the Caldwells' carefully constructed image began to widen. Detectives obtained surveillance footage from nearby businesses and traffic cams, and what they found contradicted the couple's statements. 3 days before the body was discovered, Raymond's matte black SUV was seen in a downtown alleyway where he met with the same man found dead in the guest house. Their interaction was tense. Gestures were sharp, faces close, voices raised. Hours later, The same SUV was caught trailing the man's vehicle for nearly 20 miles. Search warrants were issued. What authorities uncovered in the Caldwell's financial records was staggering. Raymond's financial consulting firm didn't appear in any legitimate business registry. There were no client contracts, no tax filings, and no payroll records. Instead, his accounts showed frequent large wire transfers to offshore banks, properties in foreign countries under shell corporations, and massive cryptocurrency holdings moving through anonymous wallets. Vanessa's influencer brand also came under scrutiny. Many of her paid collaborations were with non-existent brands, and several of the social media giveaways she promoted were never fulfilled. The money trail pointed to systematic laundering operations disguised as marketing campaigns. Then came the breakthrough. The victim was identified as Eduardo Mendez, a man flagged by federal agencies for international money laundering and suspected ties to drug trafficking networks. His presence at the Caldwell estate was no coincidence. He was a middleman, someone who moved cash, cleaned dirty money, and enforced silent deals. Even more disturbing, investigators discovered Eduardo's encrypted messages backed up on one of the burner phones. In them, he made veiled threats about delays, and hinted that she promised this would be done by now. That she, in question, appeared to be Vanessa. Eduardo wasn't just a business associate, he was leverage. And something, or someone, had triggered the final fatal confrontation. The deeper investigators dug, the more twisted the story became. What had initially appeared to be a financial scandal with a violent ending soon revealed itself to be a layered web of betrayal, control, and deception. Vanessa, once seen as the polished, smiling face of the Caldwell empire, was no longer just a supporting figure. She was emerging as its core architect. Multiple encrypted messages between Vanessa and Eduardo painted a disturbing picture. She spoke in codes, used fake names, and referenced operations stretching beyond North Carolina. Investigators suspected she had been involved in orchestrating money laundering schemes that used Raymond's fake firm as a front, while her social media influence masked illicit transactions as sponsorships and giveaways. The funds were moved internationally, cleaned, and returned to U.S. accounts disguised as brand revenue and consulting fees, but the messages also hinted at more than just business. Vanessa and Eduardo appeared to have a personal connection. Photos of them together in Paris and Sao Paulo surfaced, captured by surveillance teams long before the murder. Raymond likely found out. Evidence suggested he had accessed Vanessa's encrypted cloud account days before Eduardo's death. Whether it was jealousy, fear of exposure, or a desperate attempt to regain control, he confronted Eduardo instead of confronting his wife. The result was fatal. Then, as prosecutors prepared charges and arrest warrants, Vanessa vanished. Using a fake name and forged travel documents, she boarded a private jet to Monaco just one day before U.S. Marshals were set to detain her. Authorities believe she had been planning her escape for months, moving assets, erasing digital traces, and buying silence. Raymond was arrested shortly after, trying to trade gold bars for cash at a private club in Georgia. The power couple that once inspired admiration was now falling apart, one behind bars, the other vanishing into shadows. In a tense courtroom filled with reporters, lawyers, and curious spectators, Raymond Caldwell finally broke his silence. He accepted a plea deal in exchange for a full confession. What he revealed stunned everyone. He admitted to killing Eduardo Mendez, but insisted it was never part of the original plan. According to Raymond, Eduardo had arrived unannounced, demanding an immediate $5 million payout. He threatened to expose every detail of their operation, names, accounts, offshore connections, unless he was paid or given control of the laundering business. Raymond claimed that Vanessa had promised Eduardo a larger role and failed to deliver. The confrontation escalated, and in a panic, Raymond struck him with a heavy glass decanter. Eduardo fell instantly. Raymond claimed it was self-defense, but the evidence suggested otherwise. During his confession, Raymond placed the blame squarely on Vanessa. He portrayed himself as manipulated, used by a woman who had crafted a criminal empire behind his back. He described how she handled everything: recruitment, transfers, brand setups, and bribes. She was charming, persuasive, and meticulous. While Raymond flaunted wealth in public, Vanessa quietly built the machinery that kept it flowing. But prosecutors weren't convinced he was merely a pawn. He had lived off the profits, forged documents, and moved money. He wasn't innocent, just angry that the empire had slipped from his control. Vanessa, meanwhile, remained a ghost. Authorities traced her to do by using surveillance from a luxury hotel, then to Croatia under a different identity. After that, the trail went cold. Some believe she's hiding in a country without extradition. Others think she's already changed her appearance and started over somewhere new. Raymond was sentenced to 35 years in prison. All assets were seized. The mansion now sits empty, a monument to a lie, and the influencer dreams, once envied by millions, were built on blood and betrayal.